talk today about my birth story. I've been wanting to talk about it on the blog for quite some time, and I guess in written format it's quite long, even in video format it's quite long, so grab a coffee and make yourself comfy. I've got one here. I should start by saying it's going to be a really honest video. If you're currently pregnant and you're planning hypnobirthing, I did every hypnobirthing course that I could get my hands on, basically. So you might not want to watch because things didn't turn out quite, I guess, as I'd planned. And I think it's nice to go into it with a positive mindset if you're planning to do that. So disclaimer over, up to you if you want to watch, carry on. I'd love you to, I'd love to share my story. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to cover it from the perspective of what happens if things don't go as you plan, and the feelings that kind of come following that. I guess for quite a long time I felt that I'd failed, and I felt that I wasn't a real mum because I hadn't given birth as I'd planned to. Belle's was a very small baby. They kind of picked that up at around 26 weeks. She was measuring quite small, so I kept going for growth scans and they kept an eye on her. And she was developing fine. She was just going to be a smaller baby. In my head, I don't know why, I was absolutely convinced that she was going to arrive 37 weeks, because in my head that was full term, even though I knew that really you're kind of waiting 40 weeks plus. So that last month felt like hell. So we actually went a week over to 41 weeks. And I remember vividly the day that it happened. Big Brother just started. I think it was Celebrity Big Brother or something. And I remember just being really happy, like, yes, there's something on every day. I've got some kind of trash TV that I can watch, don't judge me. And so I just settled down on the sofa, and Belle's used to have spells of going like very quiet, so I'd had to be measured or monitored before because she'd gone a little bit still and they just wanted to keep an eye on her. But this one particular night she was just going mental, like completely mental, flipping around in my stomach. I think Dickie had had enough of me complaining, and so he decided that was it. He was going to call the hospital to see if they wanted to see me. And they said that the baby could be in distress, so it was probably best that we went in. I genuinely thought we'd be in, it would be an annoying couple of hours spent monitoring her and we'd end up back home again. That wasn't the case. And I don't remember if you remember last June, but there was a really, really bad storm one night, thunder and lightning. It was that night. So Dickie brought the car around, wasn't able to put an umbrella up because the rain was so heavy. I digress. We got to hospital, so we went to Frimley Park Hospital, and they were absolutely amazing there. I can't credit them enough. They were incredible. We got to hospital and they monitored her, and typically as they monitored her, she went from going completely insane to completely wearing herself out and then refused to move. So then they were worried for the opposite reason. So they had a consultant come round and he kind of agreed that at 41 weeks she'd done her time, she'd baked enough, and then it was probably best for her to come out now. So they decided to induce me the next morning. So of course I didn't sleep that night. It's now like 2 AM by the time we got to this point. And they wanted to wake me up at 5 to give me a pessary to induce me. And the whole of the next day I bounced on a ball, and I was convinced that things were going to take hours and hours and days, so I just kind of made myself comfy. Went for another walk just in case, but no luck. Now as I mentioned earlier, I'd done every form of hypnobirthing, so I sat there listening to my little MP3s. There was a lady, and I remember this vividly, there was a lady across the ward who had started to go into labour and was screaming the place down, telling everybody that would listen that there had to be something wrong, and just making like a real fuss. And I remember looking at Dickie and just saying, she just needs to man up. Because I was getting tightening, so in my head I was going through the same as her, but I was coping with it, so she needed to pull herself together. She clearly hadn't done the hypnobirthing course that I'd done. And then it got to about 10 o'clock, Dickie went home, the lady opposite me started throwing up and screaming with pain, and I was just like, what's wrong with these women? I can't cope with this. I'm a strong woman, I need to be surrounded by strong women. And so I text Dickie just saying, like, these women need to pull themselves together or I need a private room. Like, I can't cope with this. Eventually, it's scaring me now. And then midnight came and real contraction started. And so I text Dickie, and within 20 minutes he was at the hospital and walked in to find me making exactly the same sounds and insisting that there was something wrong. At which point he asked me if I remembered the manning up part, which that didn't go down very well. Luckily he wasn't within arm's reach. He lives to tell the tale just about. So I was just in agony at this point, and it had gone from 0 to 100. There was kind of no build up, there were no period pains. My water still hadn't broken at this point, but it was just, I couldn't move. Every time contraction came, I was just in absolute agony. I insisted that the nurse had to check me because I thought that maybe I was literally about to drop the baby right now. And she took a look and said, no, you're 1 centimetre dilated, so that went really well. All plans to have no pain relief went out of the window, and I told her that I needed something and I needed it immediately, at which point I think she gave me cocodamol or something that did nothing. And literally, as soon as I swallowed them, I said, okay, that's done no good. I need an injection, I need something. Just give me something, give me pethidine, I'll be fine. And she told me that they would have to wait for the tablets to wear off slightly before they were able to give me the pethidine. So at this point, she suggested that I take a bath. Now, I should add here that when I went to hospital, I took, because I was planning to do hypnobirthing, I took blackout blinds, I took these electric candle things, I took room scents. It was all going to be beautiful. I took a really beautiful nightie because I wanted to be glamorous throughout. So moving back into that moment, Dickie is telling me that I have to go to a bath, and I'm telling him that I can't move. So he literally hoists me over his shoulder, marches me down the ward, undresses me and plonks me in the bath. I mean, what I was worrying about in terms of how I looked with my nightie, God only knows, because at this point he's removing sanitary towels, like the whole works is all happening right now. So the bath helped a little bit. We got back to the ward, had pethidine. I kind of passed out, I think, from there because I was just so exhausted. When I came round, they gave me some more pethidine. Still, no progress was being made. I was managing to sleep a little bit, but nothing was happening, and I was just still in extreme pain at this point. So it gets to about 7 o'clock and they're measuring me, and with every contraction, Belle's heart rate was starting to drop. And the longer that it's going on, her heart rate is starting to take longer and longer to recover. So this is starting to cause some concern at this point. So they took me through to the labour ward, and in my head at this point I am convinced they're completely wrong. I must be at least 8 centimetres dilated, and how dare they tell me that I'm wrong. Dickie's telling me to remember my hypnobirthing, my breathing, and my response is probably not suitable for camera. So they proceeded to break my waters, and at this point I had gas and air. I remember there was a tree on the wall opposite, and for some reason I started hallucinating and thinking this tree was a policeman. So I kind of whispered to Dickie that we had to keep the gas and air to one side and not show anybody because the policeman was coming to take it away. Of course I'm saying all of this with the mask in my mouth, and so Dickie's telling me, he's actually taking it out of my mouth to hear what I'm saying. At which point I'm almost assaulting him to get it back in, so not ideal. So they broke my waters. Still, I was only 4 centimetres dilated. So at this point her heart rate is dropping, and it's really not recovering well at all. And my body starts to push, and everybody's telling me not to push because I'm only 4 centimetres dilated. But it's my body doing it, it's not me, and there's literally nothing I can do. Her heart rate's really, really struggling now, and everybody's very concerned. So at this point they offered that they could could keep an eye on her and see how things go, but they would have to cut the top of her head to take blood every hour to check her oxygen levels, or the most sensible option, which was to go for an emergency C-section. So before you know it, I'm having a category 2 C-section. It was the start of the day, so they literally had no equipment set up. Within 5 minutes, everything had been set up. I was in there, I was prepped, and we were ready to go, and I was just shaking like a leaf, and I was just completely shaking and being completely terrified. They warned us that because of everything that had gone on, she might not be breathing when she came out, that she might need resuscitating. They had a paediatrician on hand to deal with her, so they'd really kind of prepared us for the worst, and then they took down the curtains. She was fine. So that was a really, really emotional time for us. It was really odd. I remember her being handed to me and me just looking at this baby and thinking, it's a baby, but it can't be mine, I'm not grown up. So I managed to do skin to skin immediately because I was really conscious that I wanted to bond with her. But I think following that, like, I'm telling you this story now as if I remember everything. I actually don't remember anything from contacting Dickie right through until her birth. I have no memories. Whether that's shock, whether it's trauma, but it's literally, I've had to rely on Dickie to tell me everything because I just didn't remember anything at all. And I think what I really struggled with was that I really wanted to go through labour. I wanted to prove that I could do it, and I felt massively that I'd failed by not doing it. And then I didn't understand why my body was pushing if I was only 4 centimetres dilated, and why me? Like, was I not good enough? Was I doing it wrong? And I still struggle with that now. I've kind of made my peace with it. I'm fine. I've got a beautiful daughter and she's healthy and well. But part of me still thinks that if I were to have a second one, I would have to do it naturally because I need to prove that I can do it. And I don't know if that's something natural. I don't know whether you've been through something like that, whether it's something that you can relate to. But yeah, I would certainly love to hear from you. So that was our story. We only stayed in a day in hospital, and then I came home. I got some complications with infections and some nasty stuff like that. But other than that, it was really, really straightforward as soon as she arrived. So I'm really, really grateful to all of the staff at Frimley Park. Genuinely can't recommend them highly enough. Hopefully this has provided you with another viewpoint as opposed to always perfect births that seem to go according to plan. I'd love to hear from you with your stories, so leave a comment. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up, and it's still a new channel, so if you were able to subscribe, I would really, really appreciate it. Take care for now.